Hey, what is going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to each and every one of you. Holy moly, the market is doing what the market does. Bitcoin, wow. I actually logged on this morning and the total cryptocurrency market cap for crypto had reached, it was actually below a trillion. It was 982 billion or 998 billion, something like that. It was below a freaking trillion. Lots of liquidations going on in the market. And just like our guy, Data Dash said, when you got this, the market trading sideways, Bitcoin in this channel, there's just an opportunity for massive liquidations, and this is definitely taking place for sure. And we're going to get into some very interesting things about the fact that the market of crypto is largely, in terms of total market cap, largely in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and how that is a challenge. Because if the big boys are manipulating Bitcoin and ETH, that means that they can essentially wipe out all the other cryptocurrencies. And if major platforms like Celsius is banking on this ability, Celsius network, if they're banking on the ability of or stability of Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of its overall operation, what's going to happen to platforms that do the same thing, like Celsius network? Very, very, very interesting stuff. I'm very curious to find out what's going on Yearn Finance, what's going on MakerDAO, what is going on Aave, what's going on in those platforms. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share a personal story with you guys. So you guys make sure you stay to the end in terms of my experience in dealing with borrowing against my assets. And I think that is still considered margin trading, if you will, right? And so I'm going to share experience with you in terms of centralized platforms and decentralized platforms. It's very, very interesting. It's very, very telling for sure. ProCoin News, I have to offer an official apology to ProCoin News, because I did a video yesterday and where I called out ProCoin News for pointing out Celsius withdrawals and the lack of being able, people saying that they weren't able to withdraw, right? So ProCoin News did like 5 or 6 tweets of different, I guess, kind of different people saying it. And then they also did a couple of comments about ProCoin News, just did individual comments about Celsius, and it wasn't favorable. It was not favorable. So, and I said, I caution ProCoin News not to jump on the FUD. Be careful jumping on the FUD bandwagon, if you will, for Celsius, because there was a bunch of people tweeting out that they were able to withdraw, no problems, right? And I think ProCoin News even actually spoke to the possibility of Celsius being insolvent. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think. But in any case, I feel like I owe them an apology because here it is hours later in terms of withdrawing, and people are not able to withdraw. So it was a big memo, and I'm going to share that memo with you as well. And it is a big market mover for sure. My faith, 1000%, is still with Celsius Network, still with Alex Mashinsky, and now time will tell, right? Because when the crap hits the fan, what do platforms like Celsius, who was kind of like in between DeFi and CeFi, or centralized finance, if you will, and traditional finance, they call themselves CeFi, right? It's kind of in between decentralized finance and traditional finance. What's going to happen when something like this with Bitcoin takes place, and quote unquote, perhaps Celsius is in a challenging situation with their position in ETH and staked ETH. We got to pay very, very close attention to that. So again, I want to make sure if I'm gonna call someone out, I have to do the reverse when I'm wrong. And so Yes, I owe ProCoin News an apology for suggesting that they possibly were hopping on the Celsius Network Fund FUD bandwagon. But again, I do stand behind Celsius Network. I've been ambassador for that platform and the company, and I like everything that they're doing there. And this really, what's going on right now is really going to speak to their ability to deal with a situation like this. So and we're going to see. We are going to see their ability to deal with this massive turn in both Bitcoin and Ethereum. In both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I really think it's speaking to the fact that if platforms are laying their head, if you will, on the stability, if you will, of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I don't mean that it's no volatility. I'm talking about in terms of, massive liquidations, what's going on with the stake ETH right now, right? So what are these platforms doing to be protected against this massive type of volatility? And I would think that Celsius Network would have had things in play to, kind of deal with this. So I don't know all the circumstances, but I'm going to share this memo with you guys for sure. But I wanted to make sure I got that out about ProCoin News for sure. And for me, as someone who's been a big time advocate for Celsius Network, it hurts my heart, right? It hurts my heart now that people are not able to access their funds when they possibly and most likely need access to those funds on Celsius Network. Yeah, and so in any case, I am going to, let's get into it. This is your XRP Ripple Daily News in around 0 to 10 minutes. Let's go with the market because again, guys, the market is doing what the market does. This says 1.01 trillion. Boy, again, when I logged in this morning on CoinGecko, it was 990 something billion. I haven't seen that in, wow, crazy. And I'm still gonna let you hear from my guy, Garrett Soloway. I'm gonna let you share some stuff with him. I invested in what he's doing, and yeah, I told you guys that I had been put aside some money for swing trading. So, and Garrett is who I'm doing it with. But in any case, look, the total Bitcoin dominance is at 44.1%. It's interesting to me that it's going down. But anyway, the total cryptocurrency market cap is over 1 trillion. It's at 1.02 trillion. It's down 13.4% on a 24-hour, according to CoinGecko. Bitcoin is at $23,685. Ethereum is at $1,254. And XRP is at 31 cents. And yeah, my guy called both Bitcoin and Ethereum, so I'm excited about that. And he called a couple of others as well. So yeah, interesting stuff, guys. The market crazy, absolutely crazy. Just it's doing what the market does. So here's the memo from Celsius that was on the blog, and if you had an account there, they sent the email. So a memo to the Celsius community: we are writing with a very important message for our community due to extreme market conditions. Today, we are announcing that Celsius is pausing all withdrawals. And yes, I believe Celsius moved about $300 and something million worth of crypto. They moved it to FTX. What they're planning on doing with it, I don't know. So due to extreme market conditions today, we're announcing that Celsius is pausing all withdrawals and swaps and transfers between accounts. We are taking this action today to put Celsius in a better position to honor over time its withdrawal obligations. Acting in the interest of our community is our top priority. In service of that commitment and to adhere to our risk management framework, we have activated a clause in our terms of use that will allow for this process to take place. Celsius has valuable assets and we're working diligently to meet our obligations. We are taking this necessary action for the benefit of our entire community in order to stabilize liquidity and operations while we take steps to preserve and protect assets. Furthermore, customers will continue to accrue rewards during the pause in line with our commitment to our customers. We understand that this news is difficult, but we believe our decision to pause withdrawals, swap, and transfers between accounts is the most responsible action we can take to protect our community. We are working with a singular focus to protect and preserve assets to meet our obligations to customers. Our ultimate objective is stabilizing liquidity and restoring withdrawals, swap, and transfers between accounts as quickly as possible. There's a lot of hard work ahead as we continue various options, as we consider, various options. This process will take time and there may be delays. We thank the incredible Celsius community for your support today. It is our pleasure to serve you. Our operations continue and we continue to share information with the community as it becomes available. So this is very, very big. Remember, Celsius became the biggest and the baddest in terms of assets under management, right? I mean, seed fund rounds in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I believe it was over $700 million in one round, right? So this is, they became a major player in terms of assets under management with Bitcoin and Ethereum. It is fun and it's interesting to me too, because again, ETH 2.0 and that whole thing with the stake ETH thing, it would not have happened without Celsius. Celsius put up all of that Ethereum, tens and tens and tens of thousands. I believe it was 30,000 or more ETH that they put in order for this ETH staking ETH thing to happen, because they weren't getting the ETH. Ethereum was not getting the ETH to make it happen. And Celsius now would put it up. So very, very, very interesting. And I know you're gonna got the naysayers out there, and Alex Cobb saying he never trusted Celsius, and all these different things, right? You got the naysayers out there for sure. And this is part of trying to grow a company, trying to grow a business, right? People are gonna call you out until they no longer call you out. So this is a difficult time, especially, you're always going to have the Monday morning quarterbacks who are going to say, I told you this was going to happen, and all that kind of stuff like that. So this is again, one of the big tests for us. Look, we just dealt with the Terra Luna fiasco, and a lot of people saying, Ponzi scheme, just dealing with that. Now this with Celsius is very, 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 very. And the idea that Do Kwon moved $2.7 billion in the 2 or 3 months prior to the crash, that's just not a great look. And it's feeling more and more and more and more like he came in this space and took advantage of the United States investors. Not that there were other countries, but the U.S. capital markets is the biggest market. So hollow chain, hollow port, and a new decentralization. So in any case, that's the word on the street about Celsius. Very, very trying times for sure. Again, a lot of people, my heart hurts for a lot of people that aren't able to access that money that they may need to access during this very, very difficult time. Lots of lessons to be learned here for sure. And how you take advantage of the decentralized finance spaces is very, 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 very fascinating. It is going to be a big time lesson for sure, because I know I have been one who said, who have said time and time again, right, about this is not your 2017 digital asset space, right? I said that time and time again, right? And so the people right now who were just buying crypto, putting on the ledgers and treasures and the cold storage wallets of the world and not participating in DeFi are not having to deal with this, with these situations. That's a fact. They're not having to deal with it. And I'm a big DeFi guy. And that's why I'm asking, what happened with Yearn? What happened with Aave? What happened with MakerDAO? What's going on with those? And what even in fact happened with those after the Terra Luna thing? Because it's very, very interesting that you didn't hear anything from the Yearn people and the MakerDAO people and the Compound and the Aaves. You didn't hear anything about that, right? You didn't hear anything about those platforms. Now, I don't know. But with the Terra Luna thing, a lot of people got hurt in a lot of ways. But I believe the UST thing was not in the Yearn and the Compound and the Maker DAOs, and the Aves of the world. That's my understanding. They weren't in there. That stable was not in there. So again, what's happening today with Bitcoin? I'm wondering what's the liquidation numbers, because it's over 400 million. Where is that liquidation? What platforms is that taking place? It's very, very, very interesting. And again, when I look at what, for me, what happened with Celsius in this decision, makes me think about the traditional financial space that is moving into DeFi. Like, they're not walking away from DeFi. They're moving into DeFi, right? Citadel moving into DeFi. Fidelity, JP Morgan, these places are moving into DeFi, right? They're moving into this space, and they're sort of it's going to be right. It would be no different, and it will really be more CeFi. And I wonder how they're going to operate. And I think to myself, why would they operate any different than in difficult times than Celsius? Why would they? This is, this pause and withdrawals is a traditional financed type of move, right? This is a traditional finance type move, and so what would be the difference in how Celsius handles this and how they recover from this and how they handle it? Because I wouldn't leave my money in the bank. And the main reason why I don't leave my money in the bank, I mean, it's less than 20%. It's less than 15% actually, or maybe right at 15%. Is because of the ability to cut you off from access to your funds. I mean, it's a big deal, right? It is a big, big deal. And I've made tons of money on Celsius. I mean, I'm not going to say the numbers, but I've made tons of money on Celsius, right? Certainly more than I've ever made in the bank account. That's, that's for certain, right? So in comparison, right, tons more money on Celsius than in a bank account, right? So this is very, very interesting. And I bring this up because the smart contracts, right? The interesting thing about the smart contract, it's executed in a way that it doesn't allow for non-access to your money, right? And on the flip side of that, the Celsius network, right, never been hacked. I mean, next level security and on your assets, right? So that's the flip side of it. When I always talked about the DeFi platforms, besides Wandland, I always said stick with the blue chippers, the Aves, the Compounds, the Makers, the Yearns of the world, right? Stick with those blue chippers, because you should understand that you're taking a chance when you go outside of the blue chippers, right? Right. And so you got to plan accordingly and allocate accordingly, right? I mean, we were on Aave with a lot of stuff on Aave for a long time, especially to all those liquidity events. No issues, right? No issues, right? The blue chippers in terms of that, right? They probably got past their hack issues, right? That's why they're still around. That's why they were blue chippers. So that's the flip side of it. And so when I think about Wandland, right? When I was on Wandland, when I go to take my money off, there is no on and off switch in these smart contracts, right? There is no access to your liquidity, right? On the legit ones. I don't know about all the DeFis, but on the legit ones, it's a smart contract. It's, you put it on, you take it off. And if you borrow against it, you can only take off what is available in terms of liquidity to take off. And so that's that argument, is that CeFi platforms is that mix between being in the middle of, being in the middle between a traditional financial platform and a DeFi platform. This, again, this is a, excuse me, this is a traditional finance move here. And it's going to be hard to recover. It's going to be very hard to recover. And Celsius is going to have to recover in addition to recovering. And what I mean by that, recover in terms of reputation. You can always recover financially, right? Especially if you're managed well, you can recover financially, right? You can figure out different ways to recoup some kind of losses. And again, that could take some time, but financially you can recoup that, right? You got smart people in place. Celsius has very smart people in place there. And I believe Alex is trustworthy in his word, right? He said time and time again that if everybody decided to withdraw all their money out at one time, they would be able to meet that, right? And so the moves that they're making now is, it feels like to me that it is a protection against the market, because there is an over margin somewhere. So there's an, like, they're in a risky situation with assets. That's what it says to me. They're in a risky situation, and in order to not get on the wrong end of that situation, this is what they're doing. Now, for the person who has the assets on there, they're like not happy. And so the education, the learning behind that is understanding that that is the situation that you're going to be in. You take on the risk as well as the benefits of being on a platform. When you go to the DeFi space, you take those risks on, right? That smart contract hack, that smart contract bug, right? You take that risk on as well when you decide to use the platform. So it's the risk and rewards in determining whether it's worth it. And a big lesson, I know certainly, at least for me in the crypto Sieges home, is it's okay to take risk, but you gotta really allocate that risk accordingly, right? So if you got 100% of your assets on a platform, that's a challenge, right? Whether it be Celsius or Aave, whether it be Aave or Compound, whether it be Compound or Yearn, whether it be Yearn or MakerDAO, if you got your 100% of your assets there, that is a major risk. A major risk. And so those are the lessons. Those are the freaking lessons for sure. So let me try to get into some other stuff here. Jeremy Hogan has some very interesting tweets. Come on, laptop, my tabs go to sleep here. But yeah, so I know people are hurting right now for sure. Very, boy, lessons learned. Talk about leveling up and maturing in this space and dealing with these heartaches. Very interesting. Jeremy Hogan. The very scientific process utilized by the SEC to determine which projects to sue. Waterfall ring toss. He says, in parentheses, the Bitcoin and Ethereum rings have been removed, of course. Yeah. Who is the SEC going to sue now? Dragon Chain is in the crosshairs. And I believe that is just the beginning. But I believe Jeremy had a tweet out about the CFTC. I'm going to cover that for you guys as well. Come on, laptop. Yeah, I think this is really important too, right? And so, this public, getting Gary Gensler to say something public I think is very important, because he claims he's trying to protect us, but he won't speak out publicly. John Deaton says this: Mr. Chairman Gensler, when you took an oath to protect investors, were you thinking of senators? Why is it that you can inform a senator in private that ETH is a commodity and not a security, but you refuse to make it clear to the general public while testifying under oath? Absolutely 100%. John is on it. We appreciate you, bro. Remember, he will not say anything publicly. But Cylinder Gillenbrad and Senator Lummis have said publicly that they spoke with him about Ethereum being a commodity, and he agreed. Very, very true. Guys, think about that for a second, what John is saying there. I mean, just think about that. We've seen him time and time again before Congress, you know, and in public interviews, whatever it is, saying the dude will not, he will tell the congressperson that we will tell them, I'm not gonna comment on this thing. I'm not gonna comment on Ethereum, whether it be, because there were been a couple of people who have asked about whether or not something was a security. He says, I'm not going to comment on a particular asset. Yet, in private meetings, he tells two senators that he believes Ethereum is a commodity, according to the two senators. And then in this recent interview, he was doing, I believe, with an Asian guy. He said it again. I'm not going to comment on it. I haven't seen the bill. What? Yeah, that's what he said. How is it possible? You're supposed to be protecting us as investors. You're supposed to be protecting us as investors. You won't comment, but you will tell people in private, senators in private. How is that cool? It is a sham, 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 sham. And no project wants to be under the SEC's, in terms of having to disclose something so that they can be sued. Oh man, where is this other one by Jeremy Hogan? Because I think this is important as well. Oh, here it is right here. Let me share this one. This is another great food for thought. I mean, it just makes you think, Shout out to Jeremy Hogan. Come on, laptop. Let's go, baby. Let's go, laptop. Jeremy Hogan says, this is so funny. It says, certainly then the CFTC would agree that digital assets similar to Ether are likewise commodities. And he tagged the CFC chair, Rostin Benham. He says, asking for some friends, because in his article here, being Bitcoin and Ethereum are commodities, says the CFTC chair, Rostin Benham. He just threw Ethereum in there. So everybody's in the pockets. Everyone's getting a little, cash off to the side, little whatever. They're throwing Ethereum in there as a commodity. How so? Bitcoin, Ethereum are commodities. How so? I think this is a very interesting comment. I think this is from Conspiratist XRP. I think it's from him. I'm going to share this with you guys. I think it's very, very interesting. And very, very interesting comment. But again, Jeremy Hogan is on it. Like, how is the CFTC chairman saying that they're, because for me, I think it's really more about, the greater, the bigger size of the market, the more they have responsibility in the market, if you will, right? So if Bitcoin and Ethereum make up 60% of the total market, then the CFTC has a big role to play in the market. When 60% of the entire market cap is controlled by two crypto, having the entire market bleeding red is expected. Maybe market participants should start digging into why these two cryptos control so much and allowed to do so. Because they're liquidating everyone else. It's a great, great point. XRP theorists, that is a great, great point. I like the sign. Oh, I like that. Make your own decision. XRP is the standard. I like that, right? So 2026, XRP could be worth $400 by 2026. Somebody wrote that up in an article, Ethereum World News, right? So that's a great point. And he says here, and allowed to do so. I'm not sure if we're going to end this fight with the ETH gate. I hope we continue to push on, because I really do believe that Ripple, Brad, Chris are going to win the lawsuit. I really, really, I really, really do. Hold on, guys, my laptop here. So I wonder if we're going to continue to push for, right? Or are we going to just back off? What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to just back off once XRP, Ripple wins? And I really do believe they're going to win and get the clarity that they want. Or is there going to be this continued push to investigate ETHgate and what happened there? It's very, very odd that no one's picking it up. No one in Congress is picking this up and kind of running with it. We have all the proof in the world, videos, I mean, everything that you would need. That someone, right? Where's the internal, where's the IG? Where is the IG at the SEC? Looking into this obvious corruption. Where is it? Yep, someone's checking in on Celsius position. Liquidations at 22,535. How low did Bitcoin get? Did it get that low? In any case, it's a good point. Really, really good point. I want to share one other thing. And the Binance deal, true, not so true? Anybody know? Look, it's hours after Binance said that the issue for not being able to withdraw your Bitcoin was some kind of stuck trend, whatever. So let me know. I mean, it's 11:50 a.m. at the time of this recording on June the 13th. Are people able to withdraw? Are people able to withdraw? I'm wondering. Right? So the word was Binance announced they are temporarily pausing Bitcoin withdrawals. So I'm wondering if there's something bigger into that. It's supposed to only last a half hour, right? Temporary pause to Bitcoin withdrawals on Binance due to a stuck transaction causing a backlog should be fixed in 30 minutes. So I can find out here real quick. We can just go to CZ Binance and see if he put it out that it's fixed and they can continue to withdraw. That would be great news, because that means we only have to be dealing with the escalating situation with Celsius. So let's see. Let's check it out together. See, I haven't heard anything. This internet, boy, I tell you, when the person who figures out the Wi-Fi issue, boy, I'm talking about, man, when they figure out a way to do that, boy, that's going to be massive. CZ_BINANCE. Let's see. We recently polled our community on ecosystems with which to interact, and we're starting with Solana. Okay. Hopper, I like that airdrop from Hopper. That was sweet. Not airdrop, it was, yeah, it was an airdrop for participating. So no update. So no update, right? I would think he would have tweeted something out if there was an update. So, but guys, let me know if you heard something. Yep. So these are all old. So still it is. Let's get the word on the street from a guy when Bitcoin was in the mid 50s, whatever, said that we were in a bear market. That Bitcoin was in a bear market. Yep, sure did. Maybe even in the 60s when it was in the 60s. That's a bold statement, right? Bitcoin, new all-time high. And the guy said, yeah, that's cool, but take a listen to this dude. You know, I feel like this is more than
price action is what I would consider blood in the crypto streets, which
I feel like this is more than just the Wi-Fi. Get the spinning every time I try to record. You get the spinning. I think that's more than just. Let's see.
anything that's not made to be on a firm foundation, ultimately in bear markets, it's shown to be faulty, right? So now we're seeing Celsius. I think they're not allowing withdrawals right now, which is sending shockwaves. I mean, that's the equivalent in the crypto space of in the financial system. If a bank said, hey, you can't withdraw your money. I mean, that is not a good thing.
Well, here's a bigger one. So the latest shoe to drop is Binance. Binance now has locked up withdrawals and not allowing people to take their Bitcoin off the exchange.
Yeah, the one positive, and again, this could change, but the one positive I heard is that it was just based on some sort of glitch, and that within 30.
Let's see if you can get Garrett to get a proper introduction here. Come on. Goodness gracious.
Last year at the peak, when you're calling for that 20K, everybody thought you were crazy, insane. And, we had that debate. I didn't think we would break that $30,000 level very easily, which it's been taking a while since the beginning of the year to crack that level. And you've been, holding strong on that 20K. So what are you looking at?
Yeah. So, I mean, number one is this is what happens in bear markets. And what I mean by that is that, we saw the Terra Luna situation. We saw the UST collapse. Anything that's not made to be on a firm foundation, ultimately in bear markets, it's shown to be faulty, right? So now we're seeing Celsius. I think they're not allowing withdrawals right now, which is sending shockwaves. I mean, that's the equivalent in the crypto space of in the financial system. If a bank said, "Hey, you can't withdraw your money," I mean, that is not a good thing.
Well, here's a bigger one. So the latest shoe to drop is Binance. Binance now has locked up withdrawals and not allowing people to take their Bitcoin off the exchange.
Yeah, the one positive, and again, this could change, but the one positive I heard is that it was just based on some sort of glitch and that within 30 minutes, supposedly it was going to be fixed. If that's the case, that would be a positive. If it's not, then you're seeing Bitcoin going much, much lower. I mean, if this is an isolated Celsius incident, that's one thing. If it becomes something that many of these other crypto brokers have, then that's really, really bad. But I will tell you this. What we're seeing today in the price action is what I would consider blood in the crypto streets, which is just the same as blood in the Wall Street, kind of Wall Street period. This is where I start saying, okay, for a short-term bounce, it is starting to be likely. And again, it's scary, but you have to just kind of keep out the emotion and focus on the charts. And I'll show you here. Let me bring up the charts and take a look.
Yeah, and on that note, what's really interesting, so, there are a few people out there still calling for all-time highs and reversals and melt-ups and things like that. The thing to look at on these bounces, you get tremendous bounces in bear markets, and you can go and look at previous bear markets in crypto as well as traditional markets. You're going to get these bounces, but they never go past the previous highs. They generally bounce and maybe test the bottoms of where we came from. So, that's something to just think about on these bounces.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And what you can see here is that there's this little interim support right over here at around 23,000 or so. And that's kind of what we've been dangling right on top of. So that's your short-term support on Bitcoin. I ultimately still am holding strong that I think at the high end of a target, you're talking about this 20,000 marker here. So I still think we're going there. But again, generally, you don't go straight to these levels. It's very rare to see a collapse from where we were, at 32,000 or 31,000 a few days ago or a week ago down to 20,000 that quickly. Usually you get to a level, you bounce a little bit, then you flush again. Ultimately, I still think that we could go as low as 12,000. 12,000 is this pivot going back to 2019. One of the reasons why I think you could go that low, there's actually a few. Number one is it's a measured move. So if you take this distance from this high to this low, which was basically a straight shot down, and then you do a measured move, that same distance from here. All right, let me zoom out. From here, it takes you down to 12,000. This would be the same distance repeating, which again, in technical analysis, it's called a measured move. It's some of the symmetry of stocks and charts in crypto. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that 12,000 also is the 80 to 85 correction move, which is a standard kind of Bitcoin crypto winter, right? So again, 20,000 is my high end. That's where I start kind of accumulating a hodl position where I plan to hold it for a little bit longer. But what I'll do is I'll divide my ultimate max that I want to buy into about 5 portions. So let's just say for Pete's, for example's sake, it's $100,000. I would do 20,000 at 20,000. And then at maybe 17,000, another $20,000 worth, et cetera, all the way down. So again, there's lots of ways here. I'm still a long-term huge bull. This is kind of exactly what I was expecting. It's the .com flush out. You need to see 95% of cryptos honestly go away during this next 1 to 2 year period. It's why I've said so many times when I invest in cryptos, I generally only invest in the top 20 because the top 20 hopefully will still be around to tell the tale, just like Amazon back in the .coms. Obviously, that one flourished afterwards. But I mean, it is nuts out there. There's no doubt about it. It is painfully nutty out there. And investors, don't use leverage. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You use leverage in a bear market, you're going to get slaughtered. Notoriously, when I'm accumulating, like I did a little buying of Ethereum today, I put 4% additional in my portfolio of Ethereum. That's it. So I do have about a 20% position in my portfolio of Ethereum here for a bounce.
Let's take a look at Ethereum too, because I've got some targets on that as well.
Yep,
and I think
absolutely.
we might see $700 on Ethereum here pretty soon.
Yeah. And Ethereum has broken down sharply, and really Ethereum is leading the drop. I mean, if you look at the relation to Bitcoin,
so you get the point there. So this is the guy again, who when Bitcoin was over 60, he was saying that, he's expecting Bitcoin to get into the 20,000s. So like he said, 22 or 23,000. And so in any case, that is the guy that I have been following, and to hear Ethereum leading this is big time. Again, just like the XRP theorist said, you got both Bitcoin and Ethereum, with the major players in the space being able to manipulate it in a way that can put people in the space in harm's way. And I think that's what's happening with Celsius Network in both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And for sure, Ethereum with the staked ETH and the challenge, whatever those challenges are with that. And if it can be manipulated like that, how do platforms use Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you will, as the foundations for their platforms? Again, and it's got to be over, just like he said, don't be doing any leverage trading, right? In these bear markets, right? For sure. And that is another lesson learned, because margin, having a loan on margin, that's just as risky, right? Because you got these opportunities for liquidation, and it feels like the only margin that is safe to take in terms of a loan is going to be in stable coins, right? And it's probably only going to be in one stable coin, in the USDC. Yeah, very, very interesting. And that's not financial advice, and I'm not certainly telling anyone to do that. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. There it is, guys. That is your kind of XRP Ripple daily news in around 0 to 10 minutes. My prayers for sure for everyone out there that may be hurting, and certainly rooting for and praying for the Celsius Network, and hoping that they will be able to recover. Because if Ethereum again, gets down below 1,000, it's going to be painful. Once again, it's going to be very, very painful. So guys, that's your XRP Ripple daily news in around 0 to 10 minutes. I am going to end this video like I do all my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather that we remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know. That the battle for you has already been fought. And the victory is yours. Go get it.